Bloody hell, what's all this stuff? It's almost like we're moving country or something.
We're moving!
Yes, that's it. We're out of here. We are getting the F-car out of Australia for 1 year. We are travelling to Cambodia. We've got to go. We're leaving tomorrow and we've still got shit everywhere. Righto, we are back after 12 months of planning and 2 days of grueling travel with a toddler. We are here to experience our 12 months in Cambodia. Welcome to Rice and Pizza, formerly Mark's Mildly Interesting, where we document our lives and travels as a Cambodian Australian couple with our 3.5-year-old toddler. You might find some of the content here mildly interesting, and if you do, give us a thumbs up and make sure you say g'day in the comments below. We love saying g'day to everyone who watches our stuff. In this video, I'm going to take you through all the preparation and planning that we went through to pack up our lives and move them here to Cambodia. If you're looking to do something similar with your family, hopefully this video will help you out. First up, I'll explain the why. See, our son's currently 3.5, and we have always wanted him to grow up or have part of his childhood here in Cambodia, surrounded by his cousins, his friends and his aunties and uncles. Personally, I've always wanted to live here as an expat as well after coming here for over 10 years. And for Kinal, she will take any opportunity she can get to come home, be surrounded by family and eat all of the food. Timing wise, it's kind of now or never for us as well, without impacting Max's education. When we get back, there's going to be plenty of time for him to go to kinder and then into primary school. If we don't do it now, we're going to have to wait another like 15 or 16 years. Right, let's get into the preparation now. And the first thing we had to prepare was work. We've both been pretty lucky here. For Kinal, she's able to take 12 months unpaid leave on what they call a career break. And that means that her work will hold her job for 12 months for her. So they'll replace her, and when she comes back, she can walk straight back in, which is really, really lucky. I'm probably a step luckier than Kinal in that my work's granted me permission to work remotely for 6 months. This will be the third time I've worked remotely from Cambodia. The first time was in 2019 when we lost her mum, and then the last time we were here in 2023. This will be the longest stint that I have worked remotely, being 6 months, and then after that I'm taking a massive chunk of long service leave to do some travels around Cambodia with the fam. Next on the list of prep was medical preparation. So both Kinal and I got signed off to travel. I had a few niggling things that I got taken care of, and Kinal had been signed off by all of her specialists to make sure that we're both fit and healthy to travel, to make sure that nothing sinister was going to happen whilst we're here in a developing country. All of us got needles for typhoid and Hep A, and both of us are carrying our year's supply of prescription medication with us. Next on the list is house prep. Now, we decided not to rent out the house, and there's many reasons. One of them being I'm going to get a wage basically for the whole time we're away, so that takes the financial pressure off trying to pay for our lives here and also pay for our lives and our mortgage back in Australia at the same time. The other thing was we didn't want to have to pack up our life into a storage container, and then I pack up the garage full of cars and put them in storage, which is, it's not cheap, and then have to unpack it when we get back in 12 months time. I mean, it would have been a pain in the ass. So in the meantime, we're going to have friends stay there. My old man's going to go up there and do a couple of jobs as well and keep an eye on the place. And our neighbours are all pretty good, so don't go to my place and take shit. There's always going to be someone there. We also did a massive clean out of all the cupboards, fridge and freezer. Anything that was perishable, we gave away to friends or just binned it. We also made sure in the weeks leading up to us travelling, we didn't buy heaps of stuff. We only bought what we needed for that day or the next couple of days to avoid having to throw stuff out or give stuff away. Our neighbours are doing the bins for us, and they've got full permission to fill our bins with their shit whilst we're gone. As for the cars in the shed, the GT's been disabled, so don't bloody go near that. The Benz will go on a trickle charge. I actually tried to sell that car. I had it advertised for 4 months. No one wanted to buy it. I'm convinced our economy's shot in Melbourne. Otherwise, who wouldn't want a 10-year-old AMG with questionable reliability? And my green XW, I sent that off to a workshop to get some repairs done. So that's pretty exciting. We're going to come back to a nice fresh muscle car when we return to Melbourne. Okay, let's talk services and admin now. You know, I'm serious because I've got the hat backwards and I'm trying to make the light in this hotel room not look awful. First up, phones. We wanted to keep our phone numbers, and that meant we had to go onto a prepaid plan, which was the bare minimum prepaid plan that allows us just to hold our numbers for 12 months. So we did one through Telstra. It cost $74 each. There's no roaming on those plans, which means that if we do have a two-factor authentication via text that we need to use, we have to turn roaming on via the app, and that's like $5 a day It's not ideal, but it's far cheaper than paying the normal like 60, 80 bucks a month that I normally pay just for that once in a blue moon text I'll have to do to confirm my identity. Next is banking. So we told the banks that we were traveling, and we made sure that our debit and credit cards had expiry dates that extended beyond the period of travel. That was to make sure that any direct debits that we had happening or any purchases I wanted to make online whilst we're here were able to go through. I also turned off our internet. I mean, we're not going to be there to use it, so why pay $100 a month for internet that I'm not using? So that saves us $1,200 for the year. For private health insurance, I had the option to pause my cover for 24 months, which is pretty good. That saves me $1,600 over 12 months, and when I get back, I can just flick it straight back on, which is really, really handy. For our car insurance, we have the option with our insurer to put our cars on what we call laid-up cover. That means the cars are still covered while sitting there in the shed, but they're not covered whilst they're driven. That change reduced my premiums by about $150 a month, or $1,800 for the year if the maths works out, which is a pretty good saving. We made sure everything possible was on a direct debit as well, so things like rates, water, gas, electricity, insurance, power. Did I say power? All of those things. I'm sure I've missed one, which will probably sit in my mailbox for a month. But that just means that nothing's going to get disconnected whilst we're away, because like I said, we're going to have people at the property, and I want to make sure that they've got lights on and water they can use. Internet, they can just hotspot, I don't care. Use your hotspots. We had to pull Max out of daycare, which was fine, but it does mean about 3 or 4 months before we return home, we have to email the daycare centre to make sure that they have a spot for him, because if they don't, it's going to wreak havoc on our plans for Kinal to go back to work. And finally, the big one is that we had to take out travel insurance. So our travel insurance cover is for 12 months. It covers the 3 of us as a family, and it covers all of Indochina. There is an additional pack that we added, which covers us for things like riding a motorbike, because Kinal will be riding a motorbike or one of her old motorbikes before we know it. And we also had to cover pre-existing conditions. So Kinal's pre-existing conditions that she's treating need to be on the policy to make sure that if anything does happen to her, touch wood, that the insurance is going to pull through and pay for it. So that was a cost to us of about $3,300. The next thing we prepped was our technology. So the first thing I did was got all of Kinal and I's photos off our phone and put them on a little hard drive and buried them, so no one can find it, and I better remember where I buried it. After I did that, for our 2025 trip, I've turned on iCloud storage. So what iCloud storage does, or iCloud does, is that every time you take a photo, it just goes straight to the cloud. The photos on your phone shrink in size, so you're only left with a thumbnail, which means your phone storage is now maximized rather than being full of photos. And it does mean if we lose our phones or one of them get broken at any point, we'll still have the full res version in the cloud, so there's no risk of us missing out or losing any memories we capture on this trip, which is, for us, really, really important because it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And finally, what did we take with us? And this is the $1 million question, like what things should you bring from home when you travel? And that's really dependent on you and where you're going and what you want and what you like and what your needs are. So I'll tell you what we've done and you can make use of it if you like. Like a lot of people that have family in Cambodia, whenever you go, you tend to give things away. And in our pile of rubble over here, I think I've got like say 60% of my clothes I'll end up giving away, and Kinal will probably give away half the stuff that she's got. But she also collected a heap of stuff off Facebook and out of op shops over the last 12 months that people were giving away that she thought would be useful for her family. Problem was, when we put it all in a pile, it was massive and there was no way it was coming on a plane with us. So we decided to ship that via this shipping service to send stuff from Springvale to Phnom Penh. And with that, we also sent a coffee machine. So Kinal hates that she can't get a good coffee, particularly out where her sister lives in Kandal past Phnom Penh. So she decided to foot the bill for a coffee machine, because last time she was here, she priced one up, and the same machine that cost $600 in Australia cost like $1,300 or $1,400 US here. So it was worth, I suppose, us lugging it over, or at least shipping it over. So the coffee machine with all the other stuff you can see here in the boot, ready to be shipped off, and we're looking forward to seeing all that stuff soon. In that bag we also put some of Max's toys, which were just too bulky and big to carry on. So he doesn't know it yet, but he's going to get some train tracks and connectors and magnets and things like that to play with, which is pretty cool. And I've sent a couple of pairs of shoes and things like that, which I don't need straight away either, which just take up luggage space. We've also taken some medicine for Max, some cough medicines, Panadols, paracetamols, Nurofen, etc. Things that he's familiar with, so when he's sick, he knows he can get the familiar things. And look, I know you can get a lot of that stuff here, but For us, again, it's a convenience thing. Stick to what you know. You got a sick child, you do whatever you can to calm them down and get them right. I've also taken a few different toiletries, which you can't get here. I've got all of Max's toothpaste that he likes. They're only small bottles, but whatever, we'll take him because, again, he's a fussy toothbrusher. I've taken my deodorant as well. I've always struggled to find deodorant that works here, so I bought all these deodorants half price, stuff that they're coming with me. We've also bought sunscreen. They're bloody expensive to buy sunscreen here. And Mozzie spray. Again, finding a Mozzie spray that works for someone that's murdered regularly by mosquitoes is like a godsend. So I've picked up this stuff here. It's from Chemist Warehouse and we've got like 17 litres of it, and I don't care. You can get stuff here. This stuff works and I'm going to cling to it. I've also packed some of these things. These are called nonna knives or wog knives if you're from the northern suburbs like I am. I grew up with these things. They cut through everything, and every time we've been here and wanted to do something at home, there's no serrated knives here. You can buy cleavers and machetes and things like that till the cows come home, but you can't find a knife that cuts through bloody bread. So we bought a couple of packets of these, and we've also bought a bread knife as well, because apparently it's hard to find a bread knife, so stuff it, we threw them in just because I think we're going to need them. Aside for the usual cables, plugs and adapters, I've actually brought a couple of power boards across. So rather than running all your devices off a million adapters, just put an adapter in the wall and then run a power board. We've also bought a heap of secondhand phones to give away to the family. Well, some of them have bought them from us, and other ones we'll probably give away. Phones here are bloody expensive, so we've got like these 4 or 5 year old iPhones, which for us we paid like $450 for. Here they're worth like 600 US, which is fucking 1,000 Australian bucks. I've also bought one of my guitars with me. If you do play an instrument, you'll know not having one with you or around you for a prolonged period of time, you get a little bit antsy. We took a pram on the plane. Lifesaver, absolute lifesaver. Keeps your child restrained and is a pack horse for all your things. Pro move that. Bring a pram if you can bring a pram. Even if you don't have a kid, bring a pram. We also brought some linen with us as well, so we've got some towels, because towels are also bloody expensive here, and they're crap. So we've just taken our current towels from home and we'll give these away to the family when we're done with them. And we've brought some bed sheets too, because again, bed sheets here are bloody expensive and hard to find really good ones. And because we had so much stuff, I actually had to do a test fit in the car to make sure it all fit. We did this before we packed them to the brim, and luckily the old Tucson, mate, swallowed it beautifully. Look at this. Look, there's probably more stuff that I've forgotten to mention, and if I remember, I'll pop it in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it useful. If you have, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see what we do throughout the next 12 months, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you've got anything that you want to talk to us about, or if you want to say g'day or ask any questions, please leave us a comment. We respond to all of them, and I look forward to chatting with you down there, basically. Until then, we're going to go find a place to live and celebrate Khmer New Year, so we'll catch you soon. Chicka chow.